Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and this is the Dryden Weekly Hangout for February the 20th, 2016. And for those of you who know Dryden is, I say this every week, turn your brain off for a second because I'm going to do just a really quick introduction. And then we have got Kat Haywood with us today, and we're very excited, and Eugene Kelly and Tracy Vincent, and we'll get to them in just a second. So the Dryden experiment is this idea that we can work together under Creative Commons to publish and create the kind of things that we want without having to go through a big publishing house. Super short version. What we do is we create environments and we put them under the Creative Commons license, and that license means that you or anybody else in the world can come in and use the materials. All you have to do is acknowledge that you got the material from the Dryden experiment and put your material under Creative Commons too. So for example, Nick Mull, who wrote a role-playing game called Big Damn Sci-Fi, came to us and wanted to put Big Damn Sci-Fi in our science fiction universe. We said, that's totally cool. We built him maps, we built tables, he adapted his rules, and we published a game called Big Damn Sci-Fi. Now Nick still owns his role-playing game, but all of the environments, the settings, the NPCs, etc., are part of the shared universe, and anybody is free to use them. We get together once a week to hang out and talk about what's going on in the universe and universes. We have several genres out there, and we're doing tonight. Let's just do very quick introductions because we know we only have Kat for a limited time. I'm going to ask the folks who are here with us this evening to introduce themselves, going from left to right. Eugene Kelly III, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hi, my name is Eugene. I've been working at Dryden Experiment for the last couple of months. I was one of the authors in the book Rise of the European. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do. It's a very interesting story. I've got another story coming out for the upcoming Dryden Horror Anthology, which is going to be coming out relatively soon. I don't know the date right off the top of my head, but it should be coming out relatively soon. I've got another...
May.
What?
May. It's coming in May.
May. Okay. And then after that, there's going to be I've got a story that I'm writing for another compilation, which I think Katie will talk about a little bit later. But in terms of what I've been doing, there have been two kind of projects I've been working on. One of them is a story, maybe a set of short stories, a novel, series of novels, I'm not sure yet, called Empire of the Carnosaurs. And then another one which I've been doing is interesting. I've been taking all the the images and stuff from dreams I've had over the years and writing them down for ideas and seeing what that will inspire. But that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Awesome, awesome. And Eugene is always exciting and works on very interesting things. In The Rise of the European, he took the voice of the alien that lives on Europa that has decided that it's time to evict humanity. And it's a very scary voice, and it's very well done. So we're always glad to have Eugene with us. And our special guest tonight, coming to us from, let me get the city right, Perth. Did I get it right?
A little bit higher and a little bit on the other side of the entire continent.
Oh.
Brisbane talent. Very close. Very close.
Otherwise, very close. All right.
I'm still on the other side. It's okay.
All right. So the city that you are in is actually what?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. All right. I'm going to write this down.
Vegas, whichever one you want.
Well, I'm from Kansas, so we have all the A's we can. Brisbane.
Brisbane.
Kat Haywood, who is one of the artists from the Dryden Space Battles project that we're going to talk about, and who is about to embark on Charlie X with us. Kat, now that I've introduced you, sorry about that, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I'm probably the babiest of the Dryden universities. I have just recently come to Dryden in quite an explosive way. These guys are amazing, and they want me to do my art, which is even more amazing. Thank you, Katie. But yeah, I started with Dr. Nick in a little story over the top, and I may have driven him mad, but he decided that was good and recommended me to Katie for Big Damn Space Battles, which is really cool. And I got to make a spaceship, or 3 or 4, and I got to meet whales that were made out of something entirely different. And now we're doing Charlie X, and it's really, really, really scary and exciting, and I can't wait because it's going to be an amazing, amazing experience, and she's going to take off. So it's going to be awesome.
Charlie X is going to be awesome. And I just want to let everybody who was here earlier when Russell said some scary things know Russell is messaging me now. He's having some sort of pain, but he's not showing any other heart attack symptoms other than just that pain. So he is going on down to the ER to get checked out, but he doesn't actually think he's having a heart attack. So hopefully we'll find out he's got gas. But he says he doesn't have any symptoms except just that strange pain, so he's going to get looked at, but he's not headed off with the lights and the sirens or anything. And, you know, I have to tell you guys, something amazing happened yesterday. I saw Tracy Vincent, the actual Tracy Vincent. One of the great mysteries of the Dryden experiment is just what the hell Tracy looks like, because she refuses to turn her camera on. Yes, we've been calling her a Sith Lord all of this time, and I think more kind of somewhere between Jawa and Ewok is... No, but she turned her camera on yesterday, and I can verify she is a human, built to human proportions, and our fears of her dark force powers are not overrated, but she does not, in fact, have a little ring of horns around her head. So,
not that you could tell my hair. Well, my hair was covering everything.
That's all right, then.
All right.
Remember that it's there.
So, Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, I thought you just did a lovely job.
Well, thank you, thank you. It's one of my goals is to try to figure out how to praise you sufficiently. All right. Well, we only have Kat with us for a short time this morning, evening, whatever time it is. It's actually tomorrow morning in Brisbane. So what I want to do is talk about the two projects that she's involved in, which are actually both very, very large projects that we're working on. The Kickstarter for Dryden Space Battles closes on Tuesday. We are $343, I think, $353 short of goal, which is a little further than we'd like to be. There's always a push at the end. I think that's a little bit big. So we're asking people to sort of reach out into their media and talk to their friends of their friends of their friends and see if we can't haul in a few more funders. The project is built. I have the proofs on my desktop awaiting final review, and then they will be ready for upload to RPG Now and be orderable. We set a final publication date, or an official publication date, and there is Don Van Osdal coming in to join us. Don Van Osdal is also one of the artists behind Dryden Space Battles. So we welcome Don. Don, I am... Kat Haywood, who drew the TerraCore ships, is with us. She's only here for a short time, so I'm sort of charging through her topics. But we'll get you on and get you chatting here in a little bit once we make sure we've got all the Kat stuff talked about. So we will go to print on the 18th of March for Dryden Space Battles. That is the official date. And Don, I had just said that I have final proofs of the cards on my desktop now. I got them from Gavin actually yesterday late at night, some point after I had gone to bed. And they are good and they are solid. We have final rules from Nick. They need a little bit of pretty put on them. We want to put the timeline and the catalog of other books available in Dryden, other games available in Dryden on them, but they are there. We actually posted the full mini version of the rules on the cards, so there are 3 cards in the deck that are rules cards, which we told Nick you need to reduce the rules down as small as you can, and he sent us like 200 words. It was like, damn! That was really well done.
Nice.
But then we went back and said, okay, take another card or two and broaden it out. And we ended up with 3 cards. I think it actually works out to 5 sides of cards in order to tell the rules, which is just how awesome and lightweight that game is. I have right here a little paper mini of one of the cards that we use for playtests. So we will now be printing these on cardstock because we are good to go. That's an image built by Charlotte that is an upgrade to a ship. So wonderful stuff. So Kat and Dawn, looking at the last 2 days of the Kickstarter now, what's your feeling? Are you excited? Are you scared? How do you feel looking at your art now on cards and having seen it adapted into a game. Tell us what that's like.
That is pretty crazy. It's very cool because I'm next to Don and everything else that's there. But it's very cool. Very cool indeed. And you guys seriously need to check it out because Dryden's done well.
Yeah. It's every time we take on a project, it's bigger than the last one, and we continue to meet the one we can't do. It's so cool to be growing like this. What about you, Don? What's your feeling?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've been telling everybody I meet, uh, check it out, and I mean, I've handed out the email address to everybody at work and everybody I walk to, and here's the Kickstarter. Go back it.
That's awesome. Well, you are now 2 days from the end of the Kickstarter, whether we make it or not, and a month away from the end of the game, or from the release of the game. Really, whether we make it or not, we'll go ahead and release the game without the Kickstarter. We just won't pay you guys. So that fair trade. You will be paid, but you won't be paid for the Kickstarter, obviously.
Yes.
So just for folks who are watching and wondering what that means, the part of the Dryden model is that we pay on profit share. We don't believe in asking anybody to do stuff gratis, but at the same time, we're trying to produce games and books with basically no capital available, and so we do a direct profit share. So Nick, who designed the game, and Kat and Dawn and the other folks who were involved in the production are all receiving shares, and my comment there was, if we don't fund the Kickstarter, we don't bring that money in, they don't make that profit. But they will continue to make profits off of the sale of the game once it's in production. So feed Kat's kids and feed Don's doggy, and fund that game so that we can
all go pencils.
Get more pencils so that Kat can get her art supplies. That's right. So we are very, very close. We are going to do a total of 3 expansions to the game that we have committed to. They are not built, except that Charlotte went ahead and turned in the art for us for the Il Solitaire because she wanted to draw them, and so she
They
did.
look so cool.
The flying space whales. They really look awesome.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to remember the Pirates deck we committed to. Oh, and we're going to do a Technoprey deck. So for those of you who have never had your fleet overrun by insect-like space creatures, that is coming.
I have to say, I don't think I've had any of my fleets overtaken by anything yet, so this is going to be fun.
So we don't have dates on any of those. Those packs are relatively lightweight. Once you get the deck built, the first deck built, and get it configured, doing expansions is kind of a lightweight project. So what will happen is, as Nick gets us expansion rules, and as we get art online, expansions will start appearing periodically. In fact, the main controller for all of that will be Tracy, who decides when we are too busy to take on new projects and when we have space in our calendar. And so the arrival of expansions to Dryden Space Battles will be predicated primarily by Tracy. All right. Then the other thing that Kat is involved in, and this is really as huge an announcement as Dryden has ever made, and it is as large a project as Dryden has ever done. I happen to be... All right. I happen to be friends with Charlie Martin. For those of you who don't know Charlie, Charlie is a remarkable human being who everyone should know. She is Charlie of Go Charlie Hill Climb. She drives a Formula Renault race car in the hill climbing circuit in Europe. Which is just this very badass sport where you take the biggest, baddest car that you can and you drive it straight up the side of a mountain. It's a very technical form of racing. People in the U.S. will recognize the Pikes Peak Hill Climb as the sort of biggest American equivalent event. Charlie, as a matter of fact, has on her life goals list to drive Pikes Peak one year. We don't know when that will happen, but I saw Charlie posting about she's taking sponsorships for the 2016 racing season, and I thought, well, that would be really cool. You know, one of Dryden House's goals is to put our logo on an actual rocket ship, and, you know, a Formula Renault car yeah, it's a step in the right direction. It goes uphill.
And she flies it like a bloody rocket, so
Yeah,
we're good.
she is a very fast lady. So I just messaged Charlie kind of on a lark. So how much would it cost to sponsor your car? And she came back with a price that I could do. Not comfortably, but that's all right. We'll figure that out. You know, I'm going to eat ramen noodles for a while. So I'm going to sponsor. Dryden House is going to sponsor Go Charlie Hill Climb, the Renault, when she does the 2016 season. And our logo, we've seen the mock-up of the logo on the car. It looks fab. We've talked about also getting on her jersey and stuff. I kind of don't think that's going to happen just because of the cost. But the issue with that is that there aren't a lot of people on the European mountain uphill climbing circuit who will race out and buy Dryden books. So what we need to be able to do is to turn it around and make it into a Dryden event that will show people the games that are available in Dryden and the art that's available in Dryden and the books that are available in Dryden. So here's what's going to happen, and this has all been committed to as of today. We are going to invent a character in the science fiction universe, she's already been invented, called Charlie X. Charlie X drives LQF cars, which are liquid fire racing cars.
You can just imagine where we're going with that.
Well, you're the one that's going to decide. So, and the LQF racing circuit happens in the Dryden science fiction universe on different planets. So we'll introduce a lot of different planets from our universe as the season goes along. And the sort of vague idea is that Charlie X will have a similar season to Charlie Martin's season, except what will actually happen is we're going to pre-write a whole lot of Charlie X's experience before Charlie Martin's racing season starts so that we can put it into production as her racing season is going along. Russell Sawyer is going to run a Tumblr for us where we keep track of Charlie X's racing season side by side with Charlie Martin's racing season so that both Charlie Martin and we can go there for a promotional event. Kat Haywood today committed to drawing Charlie X for us, so it will be a full-color animation. We haven't seen the style or anything yet. That's going to be up to her to make those decisions. I sent her a first draft of the first week's adventure today. And Nicholas William Mall, Dr. Nick of Owlman Press, has committed to writing the role-playing expansion Charlie X, which is an expansion of the Big Dam's Dryden sci-fi role-playing game, so that role players will be able to play the adventures of Charlie X while Charlie Martin is driving up the sides of mountains. It is proof positive that the cooperative model has a power beyond all reckoning.
Yes, it has the power to shake the ground beneath our feet. Thank you so much, Katie.
It's just amazing. You know, I just wrote her on a lark, but when I got to thinking about it, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. We're going to put a name on a car that's going to spend most of its time in France. Well, that doesn't help us very much, but we work under Creative Commons, so I reached out to Nick and I said, you want to do a game? I talked to Russell, who's always looking for ways to promote Dryden because of the projects he's working on. He said, a Tumblr is easy for me, and I reached out to Kat and I said, Kat, draw it. And Kat said, yes!
Fix it! It took me 3 days of the smiling Katie going, hey, so you know. And I'm like, okay, all right. There's lots of fire in this one for sure.
Yeah, hey, I've got an idea. You mentioned about Charlie X. Have you come up with the ideas for any of the other racers?
There is one racer who has been invented who is an enemy racer, and there is going to be a romantic interest who is also a racer. There will be a full field, though, so we're wide open for suggestions. I hear one coming. Go for it. Go for it.
Well, I just came up with the idea of a racer that was actually from kind of a lizard species, which can be able to use their unique abilities in the race.
Oh my God, yes.
That could be. We don't have a lot of aliens, but we do know that they are there. So as long as he's sort of recognized as the weird oddball out, I think that we could have a lizard species alien. So yeah, all right. We'll figure out how to include him in the series. So very good. All right. So Kat, being the holder of the images and the drawer of the drawings, tell us what you see in your head. Yes, you are our atlas holding this.
I am the atlas. It is heavy. I am seeing so many flames here. It's not funny, but not bad ones. It's terrifying to think that there are so many different ways we can do this, Katie. There's
Right.
so many, but I can't wait to bring Charlie from there to us and just get the two worlds going, because I can see her speeding from one to the next. I can see it all in my head. It's just getting it down now. So I think
Awesome.
I've always been a little bit of a lead foot myself, so this is not going to be too far from hard. So we're all good. But I'm going to keep her colours, though. I hope you don't mind. I like her colours.
That's wonderful. She and I have had a conversation, and we will exchange signed pieces of paper that talk about the difference between Charlie Martin, the racer, who is not
And Charlie
Creative
X.
Commons, and Charlie X, the fictional character, who is, so that we understand that there's a parallel there, but we are not drawing Charlie Martin, we are drawing Charlie X. But within that, she is really excited by the idea that we are going to do a fictionalized version of her, and she looks forward to marketing this and talking about it. She has a television show on BBC Sports News, or I guess it's not BBC. It's like an independent sports channel or something. I don't really understand it, but she has a television show there. So she is, excuse me. She is media. She is media savvy. More than
okay, so media savvy is where we're leading this.
And excited to be having this. Tracy's now mocking me for showing my legs off. If you guys don't quit, I'll show you more. So that got her.
Okay, there's marketing and then there's marketing, darling.
Right. That's not what we were meaning to sell this evening. So at least not until later. So
At the club.
At the club. We're headed to the club later. Anybody who wants to stop by?
She's gone. She's lost it.
All right, so behaving for a moment now. So Charlie is very keen to add this animated version of her, and when we go to print with the graphic novel, it will talk about her season and how to reach her and what she does in the graphic novel. So it will be a promotional tool for her. That's sort of part of the point, is to create promotional tools. Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
I do, I really do.
Okay.
Can we get little animated Charlie with big Charlie, like real Charlie, doing an interview at some stage?
That would be awesome. We would have to find the technical tools
Someone's
to
gonna be an
animate.
animator.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find an animator. Don's got his hand in the air. We would have to figure out how to do that. But I've seen folks do it. I saw an interview with a member of a Japanese girl band, J-pop band, and she's entirely fictitious. She didn't exist. They created her and added her to the band as a sort of a joke.
It'd be like the Gorillas. It would be very cool.
Yes. I love the gorillas. The gorillas are awesome. So anyway, but those are all questions to be talked about later. What we're doing right now is we're going to build a graphic novel over the course of her season. That is the course of Charlie X's season, and we're going to vend it as a web comic while our logo rides around Europe on the side of a Renault Formula race car. Which is just really awesome. You know, of all of you, I am the one who remembers sitting at my table by myself with one friend going, no, we could do anything. Once people realized how cool the Creative Commons was, anything would become possible. We are now talking about the real thing where the logo goes on the race car and we vend the graphic novel at the same time that we release the role-playing supplement to support it. So there is so much awesome in that. So, yeah. It kind of takes the breath away. All right. So,
Are you okay?
just the reality of it. Just stop for a minute. We are going to put the Dryden logo on a race car, not a car that someone is racing, a race car. It's a Formula Renault race car. We're going to send it on the uphill tour, championship tour, mostly in France. I don't know if they have any events elsewhere. She did race in England, but she's not going to this year, I don't think. Of a race car driver who has her own television show on racing news in England while releasing a role-playing supplement and a graphic novel. What do you say to that? How do you?
That's pretty
I
cool.
can't say it without breaking the microphone. So.
Hell yes, put on that party dress. Oh.
Yeah. I have on my party dress. We've established that already. So yeah, just really, really phenomenal. It's I'm verklempt. Well, and there's this whole take it and shove it up your business about this too, because I got laid off in the middle of the recession several years ago, and people were offering me jobs as bus drivers and pizza delivery drivers and restaurant managers, and I was like, you guys, I have a lot more talent than that, and at some point I'm going to make a list of people to call who didn't offer me jobs and say things that are really not terribly polite. Anyway, but are very snotty. So I'll compensate with the lack of politeness by the excess of snottiness. So.
And do it wearing red.
And I'll do it wearing red. I don't own a pair of red heels yet. We'll have to fix that so I can go stomping on them. I'm wearing black heels this evening. 2.5 inches. Yep. Thank you. All right. Well, and that is the kind of critical things that we had to talk about while we had Kat on the phone. We have a lot of other topics, though, so we're going to keep going. I kind of want to throw out there next that Dan's book, Origins, is very, very close. That book contains a lot of the where it came from for the science fiction universe, and I encourage everybody who's interested in Dryden and interested in what Dryden does to get it. In addition to being a real enjoyable read, I've read all of the stories in it and can vouch for them personally. And if you've read Rise of the European, you read Dan's short story with the wonderful noir short story with batshit crazy assassin. He's an awesome writer. If you've read Eclipsing of Cyrus C, he's an awesome writer. Origins is coming out, and Origins is the short stories that a lot of things that are now facts in this Dryden universe, it's where they came from. This is the first appearance of the Geist Marines. This is the first appearance of Telecon. A lot of the nature of corporate warfare is explored. There's a short story that comes from very early in the history of interstellar travel, and we get to see what it looked like in the early days before Dryden Space Battles or any of that stuff existed. So just a really great book, and we've waited a long time to see it coming out, and it is now very, very close. Alder's World 3 has actually swapped places with Intro to the Nightmare because we were closer with Intro to the Nightmare, and we will be releasing Intro to the Nightmare first, which I think actually means an April date, Eugene. I think I lied to you just a few minutes ago.
Well, it's closer, so, I mean,
right. So Alder's World 3 is the third part of the Alder's World series, the final part, and I'm writing that. Parts 1 and 2 are available. Part 1 is free on Smashwords. And they're both available on Amazon, and Part 3 is coming soonly, so you should get ready for that. Intro to the Nightmare has gone to line edits. This is a real interesting project. We wanted to open a second genre so that people who wanted to write horror stories under Creative Commons could do so. We want to print a book of horror short stories every October, and we wanted to get started this spring, so we would be ready for it by October. But the short stories that we got were almost universally the beginning of a larger story or a teaser from a larger story. And so we decided to call it Intro to the Nightmares and have the authors all write us bios and why they would choose this particular story. Look, my hand is magic.
Yeah, it's doing some really cool stuff. Sorry, I'm hypnotized by it. That's that goddess complex thing happening again. Anyway.
I don't need the red heels. I'm just going to do this with my hand, and they will understand. All right.
Okay, so we go one step at a time.
Okay, so Tracy is contributing to the conversation about Intro to the Nightmare. It's freaking awesome using less nice words. Don't forget to mention submissions for our annual August for October publication. Okay, so if you want to submit 2 nightmares for the October annual, you need to do so by August, and we will actually have a call for submissions sometime maybe in May for the October release. So yes, Tracy makes awesome. Okay. Comments. So Intro to the Nightmares ended up being a very good collection of stories by our Eugene Kelly, who is here with us, Laura Conrad, Tracy Vincent, myself, and I'm missing a name, Tracy. Tracy did not submit for it. Oh, Fluffy. Sama was the other person who submitted stories. So we have this really great, and Kitty Sarkozy. Didn't I say Kitty? I think I already said Kitty. Anyway, Kitty Sarkozy, Laura Conrad, Eugene Kelly, myself, and Fluffy Sama contributed stories to this collection. Most of them are actually the beginning of a larger story. Eugene, for example, wrote a sort of the history of why we have this weird horror universe, an explanation of how it functions. Kitty wrote a wonderful, creepy story. Laura sent us an excerpt from a novel and a freestanding short story. Fluffy sent us a sort of a part of the origin stories or a story related to the origin story. Just a really, really great collection, and it is at Line Edits now. So it has left my desk and gone to Tracy's, where she will brutalize my use of commas, as she always does. And we think that that release date is actually going to be in April, and then Alder's World will happen in May. So we had a reverse there. Then the Lucy Akuta Appreciation Society is coming, but we kind of put it on hold. The story behind Lucy Akuta, I told Tracy says that July or August for Okuda, and I think that's right. I told Gavin that I thought that we should have a sexy woman on the cover of Dryden, or Big Damn Dryden, the science fiction role-playing game, and he drew this Asian ninja chick that is just really hot.
She is amazing.
Yes, really, really fantastic piece of work. So I wrote her as an NPC into the role-playing game. She's Lucy Akuta. She's an assassin, but she has a wire in her mind that after she completes the assassination, it erases all memory. So she doesn't know who she's killed or when, because every time she pulls a job, it immediately deletes it. Well, that ended up being a real interesting topic. She has her own fan page on Facebook with 30 or 40 followers now, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, what that would be like and who that would be like. So we started asking our artists or our authors to write stories about Lucy Akuta. Eugene is participating in that story. Nick is participating in that story. I participated in that story. Tracy participated in that story. Gavin Revitt wanted to participate in that story. The problem is all of those people, with a couple of exceptions, are also very busy with Dryden Space Battles at the moment. So we had to pick something to push back, and Dryden Space Battles was already live. So Akuta's story has been pushed back, but I have to tell you it's really fascinating because the introduction story is written by me, and it takes place at Lucy's home. And Lucy collects trophies from her kills, but she doesn't know why she picked it to be the trophy because she no longer remembers. So her house is full of all of these strange objects, right, from jobs, and she doesn't know why the object is significant. So then as you read the short story collection, you get all of the objects that are in the first story. and you get the backstory for all of them. And it's really fascinating, and it also ended up being very interestingly emotional. Okuda is not a killing machine. This hurts. This is difficult, but she's able to do it because she knows that she will forget. And we are getting just some fabulous, brutal, difficult stories, and it looks like Russell has checked in to let us not dead. Considering I'm not dead, I doubt it was a heart attack. Please keep this off of Facebook. Okay.
Okay, it'll just go into the wider web. Well, knowing that the beautiful man is okay, I'm going
he's fine.
to bid you farewell because I cannot sit any longer. But it has been lovely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
It's wonderful to have you with us, and we look forward to your work, and thank you for all that you do for Dryden, and we look really forward to Charlie X.
That's okay, we are so going hiking and shopping. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mwah.
Okay. Well, now we've lost Kat, but we've gained our Russell back, so that's good. Russell appears to be fine. He is being checked out, but he does not appear to be having a heart attack. All right. So good news there. All right. So Okuda will go to print, but she will not go to print until we've gotten everybody done with Dryden Space Battles and gotten their Okuda stories from them. I've talked to Nick. His is going very well. I've talked to Eugene. His seems to be going very well. Mine is finished. Tracy's is finished. I don't have a recent update on where Gavin's is, but Gavin has been very, very busy with Dryden Space Battles, and so while we do generally get superhuman feats out of Gavin, we don't really require them of him. So he will move on to Okuda at some point, and we will look very forward to that story. All right. And boy, I am through my list. Oh, well, we do have 2 announcements. Tracy Vincent was almost published, and maybe is published.
No, we won't find out till Monday or Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday, either one.
Do you want to tell us what that's all about, Tracy?
So a friend of mine sent me a link to this place called Mocha Memoirs Press. And they're doing a Women in Horror month for February. So they put a call for flash fiction, less than 1,000 words. The only rules is that you had to have a female protagonist, and it had to be a horror story. And, they do have basic rules for what they allow in their publications, and you have to be within those rules. But other than that, that's it. And then on the 15th, they wanted their submissions. On the 17th, they would post them on their blog. And then on the 22nd, the judges will decide the top 10 that will be published. And on the 23rd, they open voting up to everybody who could read it to vote for their favorite story. So whoever wins their favorite story gets a prize. But I'm hoping to get put in the top 10. That's my hope. But I have a short story. It's called Diabolique. And it is about a woman detective named Olivia Wyatt.
All right, and I have read that story. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out whether or not Russell is actually dead and writing this as a ghost. He seems to be fine. All right.
That puts a new meaning to Ghostwriter.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, I just want to make it very clear. If you do happen to pass away, stop writing. Your contract is over. You're free to move on to your next incarnation. I don't need submissions from you after you pass. That's we're just going to make that a rule. Tracy, let's write that down somewhere.
Sure. We'll put it in the contract.
We'll put it in the contracts after you pass away. You are quit submitting because that freaks us out. Okay, so so I've read that story, and that story, I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but it typifies what I love about flash fiction. I submitted and published a lot of flash fiction back in the day, back when I used to work with Froggy Bottom Press all the time, because I just love those stories. I love the way you take your elements and you put them in, and you hook your audience, and you deliver very quickly. And Tracy's story delivered for me, and I was like, yes. So Tracy's story is exactly what I love about flash fiction and why I enjoy flash fiction so much. So we'll post the link below, and then of course on the author and artist page we've already got it up there, so do stop by. And then the other announcement I had is that Dr. Nick had a publication today or this week. He is a die-hard, what is that called, in the wool? How do you say that? Dyed in the wool?
Yeah.
Role player and thinker about the design of games and building of games, and he wrote a very interesting article that was published on the well, I'll let you read it. The design and environments of games. We'll put the link for that below here also. But we wanted to shout out to Dr. Nick. One of the things that Dryden actually is really proud of is how many real success stories we have from our authors and artists outside of Dryden. We work with a fabulous team, and we encourage people to be busy and active and having a lot of fun, whether it's with Dryden or not. And so Tracy had a success this week, and Nick had a success this week, and we want to call that out and celebrate that. So that is everything on my list, Tracy. How did we do?
I think we did okay. I mean, we do have several things that will be done throughout the year that have no publication date in particular.
Yes.
We have stuff from Russell. We have stuff from the Manhattan Group.
Yes.
We have more expansions to Big Damn Dryden. We have Laura Conrad's story. We have more details. So there are some things that we have that are unknown, but we do have actually a pretty full plate this year.
Yep.
And we're not against taking more.
No, we're
So
not.
don't think we're like, no, we can stop the submissions now. Because no, bring them.
The way we work is that we keep a lot of irons in the fire, and just as projects get close and get into good shape, we find a date for them and we put them on the calendar. But you're exactly right. We have a lot of projects out there that are going to happen when something day happen thing. I want to name a couple of those ones that you referred to. Russell Sawyer is writing H+, which is posthumans and transhumans in the Dryden universe. He's also writing the 21st century rules, so you'll actually be able to play the near future of the Earth in the Dryden, Big Damn Dryden role-playing setting, and that's really exciting. The Manhattan Group is working on a project. Tony Ochoa is the champion down there. That will be, it's called The Academy. And it is like a mini game for the building of characters. I don't understand it yet. I haven't seen it yet. But rather than just sit down and roll up a character, what will happen is you will go into the academy as a cadet, and through the adventures that you have as a cadet, you will develop the skills that then will be your character skills when you play Big Damn Dryden. So we think that's a really cool way to do things. Laura Conrad is working on a novel, maybe on 2 novels. I'm not sure. She keeps posting things. Her fan page is Laura Conrad's Comrades, and she posts things on there pretty regularly that are teasers, and I can't tell if it's one story that she's giving us little bites out of or 2 stories or what, but she's an avid writer and really enjoys the writing process and teases us a lot, and we appreciate and enjoy that. It also quite maddens us. Was it Raina that was posting on there? Which story did this come from? What is this? You have to tell us more.
I think it was Rebecca.
Was it Rebecca that?
I think it might have been Raina, but it was one of the sisters.
Anyway, I was right there with them, posting right back. I know. Which character is this? Who is this? Tell us more. Which is, of course, the whole point of the teaser. So Laura is busy and hard at work. And if you have a project out there that you would like us to look at, message me on Facebook, message Tracy. I'm Katie Papillo. She is Tracy Vincent. Papillo is spelled Papilio. Dryden House Submissions at Gmail is our email account. Find us, get a conversation started with one of us. We'd love to look at what you're doing. We love new projects. We have a lot of folks out there that we've talked to at this point or at that point who haven't come back. We'd love to hear back from you about the project that you proposed and whether or not you're going forward with it. I heard from Greta Vanderroel that she's working on a project in our universe. She writes far out
awesome.
in the future. Yeah, she writes, 20,000 years out in the future.
Something like I am the Belle Epoque.
In the Belle Epoque, in the softer sci-fi era, she likes to publish sci-fi romances. And she told me she's got a project that's coming, but I don't have a date or anything. There was a talk about a drinking game set in the sci-fi universe, maybe using psychic rules. I haven't heard back from, but I thought that was really great. We have an expansion to the role-playing game called The Bleeding Mind, which is psychic rules. And that project has not come back. I haven't heard any more about it. Love to hear more about that. So just whatever you've got, whatever you're working on, we'd love to hear from you about it. Now, before we go, let's stop back in, especially with Dawn, who didn't talk earlier, and also with Eugene, and just see what else we got going on. Dawn, how are you, and what's going on in your universe, your version of Dryden?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. As for Dryden, I have started work on a fairly simple, inexpensive board game
Okay.
based on my story from the Rise of the Europan.
Okay.
Escape from Europa Deep.
Very good. All right.
And then outside of Dryden, I've been working on a comic book known as D12, the metagame, in which all the characters are from various video game. People get to merge with their video game characters.
I see those Facebook posts, and it's always like, your world is now whatever game you last played, or the last character avatar from your last game is now your avatar. And the only game I ever play is World of Tanks, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be on a big battlefield with a lot of other tanks, and none of us have names because we're tanks. But all right.
Actually, I've got a couple of those that had to make up their name for just that reason.
Right on. Very good. Well, we look forward to seeing more of that as we go forward. Is winter finally letting up for you guys up there?
Yeah, finally. We actually had rain a couple of days ago. It started some of the melting.
I would tell you what the temperature was here, but Tracy got snowed on all week this last week, and I'm afraid she'd get violent, and I don't want to be the cause of that. So
it would not be pleasant.
All right, and Eugene, you've been very quiet this evening. I want to make sure and stop by and see if there are other projects you're working on, questions you had about Dryden.
Well, first I've got a question. You mentioned about I think you may have stated this earlier, put this on Facebook, but about the opening story for the Okuda compilation. You said that, on her, you show all the trophies of things she got in the different stories. Are we allowed to send you a message to have you maybe put something in there?
Yes, exactly the idea is that as we get draft material in, I'll edit that short story to include the things from the stories that we get. So whatever you end up with as the item that she would have kept from your story, just let me know and I'll edit. There's a description line. Did I post the whole short story? I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. You did. You included the
strange
keepsake
armor
from you included the keepsake from my story already.
Right. And there's a piece of armor that's referred to in the short story right now that's from you, Eugene. But if that's not appropriate, just let me know and we'll go with whatever.
What was it?
I think it just gets referred to as a strange-looking piece of armor. It's not
Okay,
described in great
mine's.
detail.
I'm not quite sure, but I think it's going to be the head of some kind of alien. But I'll just leave it
All
alone
right.
right now until I'll give you the description in the story.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's the idea, though, is that I wrote it so that I could have the short story written, but not having seen everybody else's contributions, I knew that I would be going back and trimming it. So as you get material into me, we'll make adjustments to that story so that they're lined up when we go to press.
Okay, yeah, and then also, let's see. Okay, that's nothing. There's something else I want to talk about, but it can be mentioned after the thing's over.
All right. All right. And Tracy, we good? We done? We there?
Sure.
Congratulations on getting your short story out there. I certainly hope you make the top 10. That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. I'd be so excited.
You know, having read a ton of flash fiction in my day, I think that story's got a real legitimate chance.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I was really excited because my friend is that's an author. She's a USA Today bestseller.
Wow.
And she read it, and I get this message back from her. She's like, "Oh my God, is blah blah and that?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. Oh my God, is that why this, and that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kinda." And she's like, "Oh, that's so freaking awesome! I love that story."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yay!"
I really love flash fiction's ability to just kind of grab you immediately and hook you and then go, and in your face. And that story did that. And it's exactly why I love flash fiction. You know, well, you have read a lot of my flash fiction. There's a whole lot of my flash fiction that just jumps you immediately.
If you want to, I'll send you the link to it.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll put it below. I've got it on the author and artist page. I'm planning to go swipe it off of there later.
You just have to make sure to note that they have to scroll through it because it's not individual stories. It's all listed as one story.
Right on. So I guess the summary is that our really big event is that we haven't cleared that Kickstarter, and we need to get that done in the next 48 hours. But beyond that, then we've got a whole lot of cool things. We've got Tracy's project. We've got Charlie Martin coming. We've got Nick's new story. We've got publications coming every which way as fast as we possibly can. And we're just having a great time, you guys. This Creative Commons has just turned out to be the most awesome way to work with people. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the video unless anyone has another message they need to share. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.